What is going on, all of the danksters? It is so cool to see everybody waiting patiently. I was watching Baron myself. What a show. Um, Man, I gotta love watching me some Baron. And it was um it was an interesting show, I gotta say. Every one of his shows are great. So I hope that you know who Baron is. If not, Real Baron Coleman, I think Real Baron podcast. That's who a lot of us were probably watching before this. So we're trying a later night live stream for the first time. Usually I go. So I'll tell you what, my time that I found a nice little slot in is 11 a.m., 11 to 12 during the weekdays. So that is what's working. So I will continue to do that. But on the weekends, I would definitely like to continue diving in. Saturday seems to be great. Not a lot of people doing lives, especially with Project Constitution. Nobody gets that privilege. It seems not too many people, at least. So it's an honor and a privilege to have so many great people around me, and it is great to see everybody here. Got already 100 people and pushing. So I put a poll up. I put two up. One earlier, I closed it, just asking if you like live streams or videos. It doesn't mean I'm cutting one or the other out. I just wanted to see um, what you prefer. And it's basically 50-50. I think it was like 54-46. So yeah, I'm going to definitely be putting out a video more of that heater style, like expose style. This is obviously a little bit more laid back. And then Sunday night, I know most of you are probably getting ready to go to work tomorrow. If you're somewhere else in the world, it might be Monday afternoon or Monday morning. So hi to the future. So it's a pleasure to be talking to someone in the future. Let me know what the weather's like. I will probably, if there are any super chats, I will try to read them at the end. I have some things that I want to talk about for those that didn't catch the live stream. So there's 77 votes, 129 people. If you're on YouTube, cast a vote. Did you catch yesterday's 4-hour marathon that I did with Project Constitution? Because we have opened up an investigation, and I really want to share more of that, dive into the history of the United States. Oh, look at that. PJ, gift and memberships. Thank you, big dog. So we have to talk about what has happened in the past to understand why the information we're talking about today and yesterday is even viable to even bring up. So hi to retired old Brooklynite now in the Caribbeans. Can't sleep now. Good. Well, not good, but good to have you here. But you know, we all have sleeping troubles, I'm sure, every once in a while, and I do myself. My schedule is erratic, so I could be asleep at 8 p.m. I could be asleep at 8 a.m. Falling asleep, it just depends on where my schedule takes me. So yeah, that being said, there are some things I want to cover. I think what was interesting is I saw a post on Barron's, not a post from Barron, but Barron showed a post from, let me see if I can find the bookmark that I made from earlier. Because it was interesting, and it falls in line with a lot of what was the guy's name? It was like Will. Oh yeah, Waymar Will. If you were watching Barron's podcast, oh, my neck is killing me. If you were watching Barron's podcast, you might have seen a post. I think it was Barron that pulled it up. I'm like always multitasking, so for me, it's like, did I see it there, or what? Did I read it, or what? I think I got it. I saw it on Barron. He pulled up a post where someone was talking about TPUSA, and Boyer responded. I think it's down here somewhere. Let me see if I can't pull it up for us. And it was interesting when Barron, he said that this is like as good as admitting guilt. Let me see. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere here. There was a picture I saw of it. Scroll. I want to find the actual. I bookmarked it. I'm so bad at X. I'm new at X. Not new, but I'm not that great at it, navigating it. and I am trying to find, like, if I bookmark something, shouldn't it just show up like in my bookmarks? I wanted to show it. You know what I'm talking about. If anything, I'll just whatever. It was basically somebody saying, TPUSA is allegedly they're actually saying here. So this is here. I'll just show this what I got here. Let's see if I can. This is a screenshot of it. Here we go. Boom. So it was this right here. Is TPUSA a Hassan CIA Pewish? I'm really trying to be good about my words here. I don't even want to start the YouTube algorithm just like shunning me, because I've experienced that in another niche, crypto, and it's not a good spot to be in. I got to tell you. So basically what it's saying is that, like, literally saying this is a CIA donor op. Boyer, as Barron had pointed out, said, look, this was his chance to decline any of that, and this is why, XYZ 1 2 3, whatever you want to call it. And then you have this childish response from Boyer, and it is quite interesting, the dissection that Barron gave, basically saying like, hey man, you didn't deny it, right? So kind of interesting. And also some housekeeping, not even housekeeping, house cleaning. Like, for those that showed up to Mr. Let Go, it's a pleasure to be on his show. Obviously, we have a very different audience, some overlap. I'm not as in tune with a lot of the other conspiratorial or all of the other stuff, right? All of the sexual acts that he discusses. It's just not my wheelhouse. I've got a lot of comments. I think, let me see if I can go to some of the comments real quick before we get in. So I do have a Danksters Intel debrief tonight. It's going to be a little longer because I do want to explain some of the history. But I mean, man, some of the comments, I'm not going to get into it, from Mr. Lecco. They were like, man, I caught heat for that. But big love to everybody looking out for your boy. And it's always fun to entertain other perspectives and thoughts. So with that being said, we're going to get into the Danksters intelligence debrief. And so let's get it started. So tonight I need to tell you a story. And let's see the poll, 120 votes. 73 people said they have seen, 73% of people, right? Yeah, 120 votes. Did you see the marathon? So a quarter of you have not, a little more than a quarter have not seen yesterday's live stream. And it's 4 hours long. Like, I get it. And that's why we want to make videos. That's why I wanted to come on tonight and tell a little bit more about it. So we're going to kind of build into that. Let me see if I have what I need real quick, just in case I'm not missing anything. 1 second. I have something that I need. Hopefully I didn't forget this. How's everyone doing? Put a 1 in the chat if you have to work tomorrow, or if you're off, put a 2. I want to know who's working, who's off. I'm kind of curious if you get to stay up late with me tonight and just get to roll into the morning without any big deal. So 1 if you work tomorrow, Monday. 2 if you're off. 2 off. Look at how many. 5. What is 5, bro? 5. I'm 5. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not off. Like, I have to work, but I don't have to go anywhere. I guess I should have said, do you have to go to work somewhere else? That would have probably been a better way. If you have to go to work somewhere else, put a 1 while I prepare my debrief. All right, cool. Lots of 2s and 5s. Welcome to the 2 and 5 club. 1, 1. The 1s are sparse. I'm sorry, boomer balls. Okay, not too sparse. John Morris. All right, let's run this. Let's get to so first I'm going to go over the prologue, which is basically the tip that got us to this position today, to be able to talk about that. There's more breaking information that we've uncovered. Project Constitution has done more research. and I have as well. So we're plugging and playing everything. And I am not going to talk about any of that new stuff tonight. So you got to tune in for the next live stream. We're going to get together and talk about when we're going to do the next one. But before tonight's debrief, I need to tell you how we got here, because some of you might be new. Some of you might have missed the live stream with Project Constitution. And if you don't understand where this investigation started, you won't fully appreciate where it ends up tonight. Several days ago, an anonymous tip surfaced. Well, I guess, yeah, anonymous tip. The person was not anonymous and then saw the exposure. I mean, I think Constitution's gotten like 300, 400,000 views on the first post. Let me see real quick. I mean, it's kind of crazy. But the thing is, we need to start heading in this direction of uncovering the truth. So, I mean, he posts so much, it's hard to find. Yeah, but take my word for it. He's got at least 500,000, if not 750,000 views across all of his posts on this narrative that we've started to pry open. So this tip alleged that a major conservative nonprofit, as you'd probably assume, TPUSA, was not what it appeared to be. And we've already uncovered a lot of the information that makes us feel that it's not what they say they are, right? That it had not been built to win elections or spread a message or educate students like their mission statement says, Americans. That it possibly had been constructed over a decade plus, 15 years even, as a human engineering project designed to map the behavioral and biological data of an entire country. Now, this tipster claimed that the organization's founder had not been discovered by accident, that he had been identified young, assessed as a high IQ, just like all of you, not like me, but all of you, and high compliance, right? And this person, Charlie Kirk, steered into a position before he ever set foot on a college campus. Now, that the seed money that these people had steered him from, allegedly, really came from specific families whose names would surface later in corporate filings that I've looked through, land records across many states, multiple states. The tip described a machine with interlocking parts, a former tech CEO who had quietly pivoted from search engines to autonomous weapons. Now, a state senator running a data harvesting operation as well, that a major social media member of the organization, that a family member of the organization's current leadership who held defense patents, Lori Farnsworth holds defense patents, which is in vulnerability and critical analysis. Also, this story includes this investigation that's live. This decentralized investigation involves also a sitting cabinet official whose career traces back all the way to one of the most famous currency attacks in financial history, which now is positioned to shield the entire operation from regulatory scrutiny. The tip claimed that a nationwide religious tour, Make Heaven Crowded, was not just a series of events. It was the rollout of a permanent surveillance infrastructure with drones that were being flown all over American citizens at domestic gatherings, that medical intake forms were collecting that data under pending federal legislation, could be reclassified as government technical data, that IRS ruled changes as well with these FCC waivers, and the tour's launch had all been synchronized within a 24 to 48 hour window of all of this happening. It's been described as an agricultural AI defense technology pivot with religious land permits, a bill to build a factory producing 1 million drones per year, and a financial shield made possible by the assassination of the organization's own founder. And when I first read it, I thought it was insane. I'm not going to lie. I, with great skepticism, shared it with a few people I was close with. They did not want me to talk about it, but it has to be talked about. So I started pulling some of the documents, Every claim I could verify pointed to a real filing of real things happening, real patents, real corporate registrations, um, real Form 990s, and real federal legislation with real FCC, FAA waivers and dockets with eyewitness accounts. Not all of it checks out yet. Some of it is still theory. I mean, the whole thing is still theory. And a lot of it is still speculation that goes beyond what the documents can support at this time. And it will be very clear with you tonight about the difference between what is verified and what is not. But the core architecture described in that tip, the interlocking structure of technology, data, defense, finance, political protection, that is what I've spent the last 4 days, 3-4 days, really diving into and trying to lay the whole thing out for everybody, and even myself, along with Project Constitution. So if you're new here, welcome. You picked a hell of a night to show up. We're not going to go 4 hours. I'm going to try to keep it under 2. And I will just say, buckle up. I'm going to tell you the story, a real story about how you need to understand that this is a viable thing that could happen, that could be happening right in front of us. We might be directly over the target. I truly believe I am. And I think that, and I said this on Mr. Let Go, and I said this in the live stream yesterday. What did I say? A picture is worth 1,000 words, or I like to say like a puzzle is worth 1,000,000 pieces, or hasn't. Imagine a puzzle. I don't know what I'm trying to imagine a puzzle having 1,000,000 pieces. I feel like we are only missing 50,000 pieces. That's how I feel. We found like 950,000. So I can see the whole picture now, the whole puzzle, right? That's how I feel. So it's all coming together. And now I want to tell you a little bit about the story, the history behind why this could be a viable technological change planned from the beginning. Like Barron had said, turning point 2.0. So what if I told you that in 1950, the CIA decided it needed to fight a secret war in Laos, small country, but it couldn't use the United States military because Congress would find out. So they bought an airline, not through the Department of Defense, not through any official government channels. They set up a private corporation in Delaware called the Airedale Corporation. And through that shell company, they purchased a struggling commercial airline called Civil Air Transport, originally founded by General Claire Chennault after World War II, and they renamed it Air America. And on paper, Air America flew passengers. It delivered rice to refugees, 46 million pounds of rice just in 1970 alone. It was a humanitarian operation, and that was the cover. And in reality, Air America was a private air force. At its peak, it had 24 twin-engine transports, 24 short takeoff aircraft, and about 30 helicopters, over 300 pilots, flight mechanics, and air freight specialists flying out of Laos and Thailand. It inserted CIA officers and special forces teams behind enemy lines. It dropped weapons into combat zones. It conducted photo reconnaissance over the Ho Chi Minh Trail, and it ran surveillance electronics so advanced they required night vision equipment that had to be classified. Now, their motto was anything, anywhere, anytime, professionally. And for 26 years, the American public had no idea who owned this company. When it was finally exposed after the fall of Saigon in 1975, the CIA had dissolved it. The U.S. Treasury collected roughly $23 million. Think about this, the 50s all the way to the 70s. $23 million was a lot of money. The pilots, and they sold off assets to accumulate more funds. Pilots, mechanics, the men who fought and died in this secret war were released with no recognition, no benefits, no pensions, because officially they had never worked for the government. Now, why I'm telling you this is because Air America was a Delaware LLC that looked like a commercial airline. Eric Schmidt's drone company, formerly called White Stork, now called Project Eagle, is a Delaware LLC that looks like a startup. Keep in mind, TPUSA, I believe school chapters are called Project Eagle as well. Air America was hidden inside nesting shell companies. Schmidt's operation, Eric Schmidt, ex-Google CEO's operation, is hidden inside nesting LLCs and Estonian shell corporations. Project Eagle's emails traces back to Schmidt's family office in Hillspire, and Air America's physical address was a front. Project Eagle's registered address matches the Schmidt family foundation. The structural parallels are quite remarkable, if you ask me. The only thing that's changed is the technology. In 1950, the front was an airline, the propeller planes. In 2025, what appears to be looking at as a tech company with autonomous AI drones that can target zero communication environments. Let's talk about the octopus, el pulpo in Spanish. What if I told you that an American agriculture company called the United Fruit Company once controlled 42% of all the farmland in Guatemala? That the United Front Company didn't just grow bananas, it owned the railroads and it owned the telegraph system. It owned the telephone system, controlled the only international port. It monopolized not just the industry, but the entire infrastructure of an entire sovereign nation. The Guatemalan people called it el pulpo, the octopus, because its tentacles reached into every part of their lives. Now, where it gets interesting is that Alan Dulles, the director of the CIA at the time, sat on United Fruit's board of directors and owned shares in the company. His brother, John Foster Dulles, the Secretary of State. Notice how there's families involved here, just like all over this apparatus, even back in the day. This person also represented United Fruit through his law firm, Sullivan and Cromwell. The U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Henry Cabot Lodge, was a major shareholder. President Eisenhower's relations executive, Ed Whitman. We also have, Ann Whitman, and then she was married to the public relations executive, Ed Whitman. And Ed Whitman produced a propaganda film called Why the Kremlin Hate Bananas. Why the Kremlin Hate Bananas. Crazy, right? The CIA director, the Secretary of State, the CIA director, the ambassador, the president's inner circle, all profiting from the same company that U.S. foreign policy was designed to protect. And when President Jacobo Arbenz, who had been democratically elected, tried to redistribute United Fruit's unused land to peasant farmers through Decree 900, the CIA launched Operation PB Success. They hired 150 mercenaries from Honduras, housed them in a United Fruit plantation, jammed Guatemalan's national radio with propaganda broadcasts, had American pilots bomb Guatemalan City, and on June 27, 1954, Arbenz was overthrown. They installed a military dictator named Carlos Castillo Armas, who returned every acre of land to the company and was literally called the Liberator by the American media. Now, the parallel is that United Fruit used agriculture as cover for territorial control. They didn't want bananas, they wanted land. They wanted infrastructure. They wanted to own the systems that an entire population depended on. Now, look at what's happening with what, in my opinion, is TPUSA's complete restructuring. They are pivoting to a culture war with media organizations into what documents describe as agriculture defense operations. They are using 50 CFR 22, allegedly Eagle permits, to secure corridors of farmland. If SkyFoundry Act S2506 passes, which I think it did pass, actually. Let me see. I want to make sure because I've been back and forth and I got to double check. January, I think it was like very recent. SkyFoundry Act passes. It was like just recently. Let me see. News. Because they introduced it, and then I felt like the conversation came up again in January, but yeah, it's passed, right? So this act really gives the government purpose rights. And it's so crazy because there's so much weird information out, because I even get confused because I've read documentation in the Senate bill and then I get all these comments. So now I'm like, maybe these comments are bots, and it makes me second guess. I'm like, what am I reading? Am I reading that passed? It's passed, right? So you have the SkyFoundry Act that passed for shooting for 1 million drones produced per year. United Fruit wrapped an entire empire in bananas. And then the question is this investigation that is being raised is whether we are looking at wraps of Bibles, of an empire that they're wrapping in Bibles and Christianity and religion. Different century, same structure. Agriculture is territory, though, and territory is power, and the people who live on it become irrelevant. Maybe they sit back and collect a check. Maybe not. Maybe worse. Now, the Enterprise is involving a story with Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, working from an office inside the White House, built an entire private intelligence organization that he called the Enterprise. Now, the Enterprise had its own airplanes, had its own pilots, its own airfield, its own operatives, and its own ship, its own secure communications network. North recruited retired Air Force Major General Richard Secord, who set up Swiss bank accounts with his associate Albert Hakim. And they ran the entire covert operation through shell companies and offshore accounts that no congressional committee could trace. North solicited private donations from wealthy Americans who were afraid of communism. He secured secret funding from Saudi Arabia, Taiwan, Israel. He used profits from illegal arms sales to Iran to fund Contra rebel fighters in Nicaragua. And he did all of this while in Congress, and through the Bond Amendment explicitly prohibited the government from doing exactly what he was doing. When exposed, North testified under oath that his operation was, quote, a mirror image outside the government of what the CIA had done. North shredded documents. His secretary, Fawn Hall, smuggled classified papers out of the old executive office building in her boots and down her dress. They jammed the government shredder so badly it broke. The congressional investigation interviewed over 500 witnesses and reviewed over 1 million pages of documents. 14 people were charged. President Reagan's own Tower Commission found he had created the conditions which made possible the crimes committed by others. And then President George H.W. Bush pardoned 6 of the convicted, including former Secretary of Defense Caspar Weinberger, before they served time. Independent counsel Lawrence Walsh said, quote, the Iran-Contra cover-up has continued for more than 6 years. It has now been completed. So Oliver North solicited private donations from wealthy ideologues to fund an illegal operation. TPUSA solicits donations from wealthy ideologues through its 501c3 and 501c4 entities. And within days of Charlie Kirk's assassination on September 10th, 2025 at Utah Valley University, Doug Deason initiated a text chain with the organization's top 20 donors to mobilize immediate liquidity. North ran money through shell companies. Form 990 filings show over $19 million, $20 million in payments that I've shown on this channel in my videos that you can go back and look at today, tonight, tomorrow, anytime, of funds and payments flowing from TPUSA entities to companies controlled by insiders, and also Jake Hoffman, Rally Forge, Stacey Sheridan, connected entities, connected people, family members on boards. North operated while Congress had explicitly prohibited his activities. TPUSA operates as a 501c3, which by law under IRC section 501c3 faces an absolute prohibition on political campaign activity. Every violation of that prohibition on a Form 990 is a potential criminal charged under IRC section 7206 with 3 years in prison per filing, and percentages of the money embezzled or all the malfeasance could be implemented. 25%, 225%, and penalties per transaction. The enterprise was a covert operation wrapped in patriotism. The question you have to ask yourself is whether what we are looking at is a covert operation wrapped in Christianity. And I have a story with a bank regarding $80. So what if I told you that in 1973, an Australian lawyer named Frank Nugan and a former CIA operative and a Green Beret named Michael Hand started a bank in Sydney with $80, a bank. Nugan wrote himself a personal check for $980,000 to buy shares in his own bank, then covered the overdraft by writing himself a company check for the same amount out of thin air. Within 4 years, the Nugan Hand Bank had a turnover of $1 billion. The bank's president was retired Rear Admiral Earl P. Yates, former chief strategist for the U.S. Pacific Command. The head of the Manila branch was a retired Air Force general. The legal counsel was William Colby, the former director of the CIA. One investigative journalist at the Wall Street Journal wrote that Nugan Hand had enough generals, admirals, and spooks to run a small war, small military. And then in 1980, Frank Nugan was found dead in his Mercedes on a highway outside of Sydney. A rifle in his hand ruled a suicide. Many Australians found this dubious. When police searched his wallet, they found the business card of William Colby, the former CIA director, with handwritten dates and locations that were on the back. Michael Hand, he secured a forged Australian passport with help from a former CIA officer named Thomas Clines, put on a fake mustache and beard, flew to Fiji, then to Canada, then crossed to the United States. He disappeared for 35 years. Let that sink in. There's been a lot of, I'm taking a quick break here on it for a second. There's been a lot of talk just the last couple of days about maybe it's not what it seems. I'm not taking that position, but just think, somebody just vanished for 35 years. This is very different though, obviously with Charlie, but people do just vanish. That's a whole nother topic, and I'm sure most of you that are high IQ understand where I'm going with this, but I haven't entertained that much. Anyways, so an Australian journalist named Peter Butt, Peter Butt, literally B-U-T-T, found him in a 2015 living. He found him in 2015 living in Idaho Falls under the name Michael John Fuller. He had barely changed his name. He hadn't even changed his social security number. And Australian authorities expressed zero interest in bringing him back. Australia's investigations concluded that Nugan Hand had been engaged in money laundering, tax evasion, and widespread violations of banking laws. One investigation found links between Hand and the CIA, and the detail that ties it all together is that Michael Hand had previously been a contractor operative for the CIA. He had worked with the Air America, the agency's own front airline. These operations are not separate stories. They are the same story told across decades. Now, the parallel is quite direct. When we put them together to TPUSA, the Nugan Hand Bank was staffed with intelligence, staffed with military brass to the teeth to create the appearance of legitimacy and strength. Intelligence. Now, look at who occupies the financial protective layer, the board of directors, all of the top tier people at Turning Point USA. And then we bring in now Scott Bessent signing documents, who occupies the financial protection layer around TPUSA, in my opinion. Actually, very clearly, just giving less than 24-hour notice to do a full detailed, are we being audited across 4 entities, and does a single day turnaround. To me, this seems exactly what I've said. A protection layer for TPUSA from the White House, from the cabinet, from the top tier government in our country. Not only that, Scott Bessent spent 24 plus years working alongside George Soros. In 1992, they broke the Bank of England on Black Wednesday, profiting $1 billion in one day. In 2015, Soros gave Scott Bessent $2 billion to launch Key Square Group. So 1992, 2002, that's 10 years. 2012, that's 20 years. 2015, that's 23 years. And then you add another 10 years. We're going on 30 plus years now that they've known each other and worked directly together. Once you fund somebody $2 billion, somebody that's worked with you for 2-3 decades, you know that that relationship runs deep. And now that same person, Scott Bessent, controls the IRS. He controls which nonprofits get audited and which ones don't. NPR Money Planet reported the direct quote, they get Scott Bessent on the phone. He is in complete agreement. Soros is like, if you guys really think this is such a great idea, bet the whole fund. That's how much Soros trusts this person. So imagine how deep the relationship goes. Nugan Hand used a network of retired intelligence officers to create credibility. And what we appear to be looking at uses a sitting Treasury Secretary to create immunity. When the Nugan Hand Bank collapsed, someone died and someone disappeared. When TPUSA's founder was assassinated on September 10th, his widow, Erica Kirk, became CEO within days. And 6 days later, the scope of the FBI's Arctic Frost investigation, which had swept TPUSA into its net as one of 92 Republican entities under scrutiny, was revealed publicly for the first time. That investigation had been quietly shut down after the November 2024 election, which a lot of you have recently seen as of like today. Someone released a video saying Charlie was so excited that Trump was elected because he was going to be facing prison time if the Dems were in office. All of these are different decades, different continents, but the architecture still looks hauntingly familiar. The financial institution functions as a shield, and when the shield cracks, the founder is the first casualty. And what's funny is Barron told a story tonight about Theranos, I think the company was called, a lady with the black turtleneck. And I've heard that story, and his perspective is quite shocking that she was just the fall guy, right? Fall girl. So I wanted to draw some parallels to what I believe is happening. And the most disturbing part to me is it's the whole picture. And now for those that have not seen the whole picture, I'm going to tell you more about the apparatus, because that's really what I'm drawing to, is the apparatus. Okay. In my opinion, what we're looking at with Turning Point USA is an artificial intelligence, agricultural defense, technology, drone serviced, digital signature data harvesting apparatus. I guess that's the best way to put it. So everything I just told you is documented in American history, global history, and think about like the parallels. You've got government officials, political officials, military, CIA, like black ops, dark ops, not even black ops, just like random people that were maybe in the military that couldn't even get recognition, that maybe people have died, you know, families didn't even know, they just disappeared. Somebody else committed a crime, just disappeared. I mean, think about it, right? Smash the like, hit the subscribe if you're new here, or if you haven't hit those buttons yet, I'd appreciate it. So let me tell you a little bit about what we found. And I wanted to tell you, you know, in your mind, as I look at it, every single element appears to map directly into things that have happened in the past. Maybe not as direct, probably not anything like this has ever happened. Maybe in another country that we've never heard about, not this exact scenario, but creating a disguise to roll out an intelligence apparatus run by AI. Could be happening in some Asian countries, maybe China, maybe something like that. I don't know. But what I am seeing, and if you haven't, I'm going to try to explain everything, tonight again, in a shorter format. But yesterday's live stream was explosive. I know it's 4 hours. Put it on while you're just chilling, cooking, cleaning, driving, whatever. Listen to it in pieces. You don't have to listen to it all at once. But I'm going to tell you the bulk of it tonight again. All right. So really, let's start with Eric Schmidt. Let me see if I can pull up. Let me pull up a couple of things here. First, let me pull up Eric Schmidt. Let's go to YouTube. I like videos. I don't know. I like showing videos over documents. I feel like documents are kind of boring. If I can find the right video, Eric Schmidt, Project Eagle. Let me see if I can find something. Okay, yeah, that one's one. Let's see, AI. Let me pull up this right here, under 4 minutes, maybe. Will we get lucky? There's a couple here. Let me see. There's one 4 to 20 minutes. That one was kind of boring. Let me see. I've got a couple of things saved here. Let me find it real quick. But Eric Schmidt was a former Google CEO. He went from Google. He worked in Google from 2001 to 2011. He did not retire. He chaired the National Security Commission on Artificial Intelligence from 2018 to 2021, where he lobbied for the deregulation of domestic drones and recommended AI integration into defense systems. And then he built Project White Stork, which ultimately became Project Eagle. Let me see. I think this, let me see if this is, yeah. I played a little bit of this yesterday. This will give you an idea of what he's up to today. Let's go right here.
Here's your Forbes daily briefing for Thursday, February 1st. Today on Forbes, Eric Schmidt's secret military project revealed: attack drones. Today we have a follow-up to a story we brought you last month. Billionaire technologist Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, has been quietly building a new drone startup in the US and Ukraine within a nesting doll of LLCs that have helped to conceal its operations and team members. Forbes first reported the project's existence in January and has since learned that it is called White Stork, a reference to the national bird and sacred totem of Ukraine, where Schmidt has assumed the role of defense tech advisor and financier. White Stork was formally established last August, according to business and corporation records and 2 sources with knowledge of the startup. The company has been developing a mass-producible drone that uses artificial intelligence for visual targeting and can function in zero comms environments created by GPS jamming.
So ask yourself, does this sound familiar? We've got Delaware shell companies, what appears to be operating for a front organization, contact information that traces back to the principal's personal office, and a humanitarian sounding cover story, and really a military compatibility underneath. And where it all connects to Turning Point is that TPUSA runs a youth data collection program. Okay, we've heard of Superfeed. I've made a video on it. I could make multiple videos. I probably should. Now the name is Project Eagle. That's Eric Schmidt's company, and it's the same name as the program that actually TPUSA is implementing for this youth data program. I'm not sure the correlation with Superfeed, if they're working directly. I'm pretty sure they are, because this is the technology stack that TPUSA is using. But again, Project Eagle is the same name that TPUSA is running, and Eric Schmidt chose the same name. Why do you think that is? Tell me that's a coincidence. I can't. I'm not going to buy that. And then you have Jake Hoffman, Arizona State Senator. We've talked about him a lot on this channel. CEO of Rally Forge 110 LLC, the firm TPUSA used to run Facebook ads and themselves identified a ban Facebook. They banned them as a domestic troll farm. Hoffman's operations really, it spent many years collecting the behavioral signature of millions of teenagers through the Superfeed database pipeline or something like it. And this is all my opinion. This whole video is my opinion, okay? Everything I say is just my opinion. What that data pipeline was built for is a question this investigation is trying to answer and what we're asking. Hoffman was indicted as part of a fake elector scheme in Arizona. And there's been a lot of debate around like what actually happened, but I'm just telling you what legally has happened, okay? Now, the FBI investigation that caught it was part of this larger Arctic frost probe by the government through the FBI investigation launched in April of 2022. And it expanded to scrutinize. And yes, Biden's administration went after, it seemed like everybody. I remember those days, even though I wasn't really involved in politics at the time. I mean, it was just like, man, how I really thought that the Republicans, when they got, and I don't identify with either side, right? Because one, I just think that they're all in the same, right? I think they're a uniparty. That's how I feel. So I don't like to take part in any of that. I think that I made a mistake thinking that Trump was going to be good for a lot of things. And I think that he is just, that's maybe a different conversation. But according to Form 990 filings, over $7 million that I've found in payments went directly from TPUSA entities to Hoffman's companies. That's on public record. Again, signed under penalty of perjury. I'll say this over and over again. You need to understand when you file an IRS document, we are all upheld to the law. If you file something incorrectly or you lie about it, what happens? We all know what happens. So it's just, this has to be talked about, and I'll harp on it as much as I need to. You have the security architecture from Lori Farnsworth. Let me pull up the patent. I have to use here we go. What's crazy is I have to use a incognito window to pull up the patent. Let me pull this patent up. Here we go. Patent. Yeah, it's so strange. I don't know if they're blocking my IP address. I don't know why they would. I mean, I guess I know why they would. Let me see. Share. Here we go. All right. So this is the critically vulnerability risk logic analysis methodology for business, enterprise, and cybersecurity. And Lori Farnsworth is Erica Kirk's mother, Charlie Kirk's mother-in-law, and she holds this patent. It's W020060658628 Inventor is Lawrence Guinta, Lori A. Farnsworth. Now, I'm going to tell you something that I came up on today thanks to a tip. I have critical, and I'm talking critical information on Lori Farnsworth that nobody else has. I can't release it today. I mean, I guess I could, but I haven't put all the pieces together yet. But I have a document that has what I haven't seen from anybody yet on Lori Farnsworth. Literally everything. So that'll be coming soon. She's assigned to AZ Tech International, granted by the USPTO through this critically vulnerability risk logic analysis. We didn't really dive into this yesterday. I guess we could. And just keep in mind, I got a lot of comments saying, hey, do the super chats at the end. I don't know how everybody feels about the super chats at the end or during it. I mean, I like to see my super chat read because sometimes I don't stick all the way around. So I want to know if you, I'm going to actually put a poll because I need to know live. There's almost 400 people here that I can see at least. Do you super chats at the end or when I find time throughout? And throughout. I'm just going to keep it simple. Start poll. I want to see what you guys say. In the meantime, while that poll is running, I'm going to read the summary of her invention. It's a method and apparatus that may use a computer to gather information. I'm right here, just so you know, if you want to follow with me, okay? I'm going to try to zoom in just a little bit for y'all. All right, a method and apparatus that may use a computer. If you're on YouTube, you can check the poll. I'm asking if people like the end or throughout. I guess over 50%. I'll just go with that. Okay. Information to measure and determine the criticality, vulnerability, and its associated overall risk with respect to a site, facility, or asset. The method and apparatus may use multiple factors to determine overall risk. In some embodiments, the method may assess or determine an impact if a site or asset is lost. An embodiment, that method and apparatus may identify and quantify with what risks are acceptable or unacceptable. In some embodiments, the method and apparatus may determine the type and extent of countermeasures required to reduce unacceptable risks to an acceptable level. In an embodiment, a method and apparatus may incorporate mathematical evaluations and numeric assignments that result in a criticality vector and vulnerability vector. In some embodiments, the criticality vector and vulnerability vector may be used to represent a site's overall risk and or prioritization and ranking relative to other sites. In an embodiment, a method of assessing risk for a customer includes receiving a list of at least 2 sites, defense industrial base sites, from a customer and storing the list of sites in a memory of a computer system. The sites may be provided with remote access to the computer system. The sites may provide risk assessment data via remote access. A risk assessment is automatically performed using the risk assessment data. This is so nerdy, dude. Jeez. It's like over and over again. We're just going to use AI, dude. I'm so sorry, man. Hold on one second. I can't. I just, it's like the rinse and repeat wording over and over again. It's just killing me, dude. Summarize what this could be used for with AI, drones, or anything technology in today's day and age. Let's just see what this thing says. Let's use my most advanced AI. So far, we've got 78 votes. If you want to cast your vote, we're 59% end for super chats or throughout 41%. We could get some more and see. We're cutting it close here. All right, so let's take a look here. Let's open up. I use the same that I've been using Claude since they first came out. And I usually wouldn't say what company I use, but since I'm live streaming more frequently now, I'll share the alpha sauce with y'all. Okay, so patent W02006065866282. Modern application breakdown. This is a 2005 era patent, now cease and expired, that laid out. Is it really cease and expired? Hold on a second. I don't think so. If it is, then maybe they have a new version of it. 2007, and yeah, it is ceased. That's correct. I didn't even see that. So what I imagine this to be is like an algorithm that you could just use if you're building like a patent for something, whether it's ceased and expired doesn't. That's interesting. I wonder if I could find this patent and the actual information in it. That'd be interesting to see if I could use. So I asked it, what could this be used for with AI, drones, or anything technology in today's day and age? AI-powered risk scoring engines. The patent describes a manual to semi-automated process where human assessors input data through sliding scales and conditional branching questions and filtered validation gates. Today, you'd replace or augment the entire pipeline with large language model driven assessment ingestion. This makes sense why it would be expired, because the entire patent is written before the likes of like ChatGPT, Grok, Claude. Instead of human assessors answering hundreds of branching questions, an AI agent could crawl public records, SEC filings, satellite imagery metadata, social media sentiment, dark web threat feeds, and auto-populate the criticality vulnerability vectors described in the patent. The filtering mechanism, where higher ratings require more evidence, maps directly to AI confidence scoring and retrieval augmented generation, which is RAG. They call it RAG, R-A-G, validation. Basically, it's just retrieving information with AI. Like you could use RAG pipelines to pull data. Real-time dynamic risk recalculation. The patent's model is event-based, scheduled assessment windows with modern AI. You'd run continuous inference against streaming data. Inference is like, imagine you're using a large language model like I am right now, and I'm talking to it. That's called cloud inference because it goes into the cloud. Or if you're using, like your pictures are stored in your drive, that's cloud inference. What this is saying, or like say you have no internet and you're working with your internet or without internet and you're doing some type of coding, that's called local inference, right? So inference is the method of which you're transacting your activity. I guess I'll just go like that. Someone told me they like this screen shape better, I guess, so I'll try that too. We're trying new things here. We're trying new things. High IQ outfit. Feels so weird saying that. 106 votes, 60-40. It's a close race. The reason why I say I feel weird saying that is because I'm not high IQ. I'm really not. I'm just someone who I'm just a nerd. Predictive threat modeling, the terrorist view concept from the patent, scoring targets based on mass casualty potential, economic impact, ease of access, symbolic value, is basically threat actor simulation. Modern AI can run adversarial red team simulations, Monte Carlo scenarios, and game theoretic attack path analysis at scale. Dude, think about like this is Erica Kirk's mother who made this. Do you understand the type of person? You have to be like well beyond any IQ level or like this. You're talking like if she's in her, how old? I think like 70s, 20 years ago in her 50s with no AI building these intelligence systems. You got to be a wizard. Trust me. Erica Kirk, also coming from the genetic tree, is a wizard, even though it doesn't seem that way. I can assure you she's got the genetics if her mother is at this level, unless maybe her mother is working with somebody else that's able to. Obviously, she wasn't the only one on the patent, right? So the patent, drone-based physical security assessment. This is all fitting into the bigger picture. And I can't keep repeating over and over what this investigation that we're going through entails. You have to listen to the beginning. Hopefully soon this week I will make a video, really just like a 20-minute like rapid fire, like this is what I think is happening. This is what we've uncovered. Project Constitution and I have been looking at this, and that. But for now, you're going to have to either catch the whole thing, run it back. But essentially, again, if you're new and you're just showing up, what I'm saying and what we've found and the tip that we've been brought has started to unfold a complete picture of everything that everyone's been looking into. All right. Using farmland with the Farnsworth, Stephen Hoffman, under Eagle permits to operate military-grade drones without FAA oversight, running algorithmic tests with AI on these drones. What we thought about yesterday and what I've come up with possibly is that the assassination of Charlie Kirk could have been used to use risk analysis because there have been drones in the air that day. Okay, and if you want to see it, let me pull up my text messages on my phone from here. If you don't have Phone Link, you should definitely check out Phone Link for linking your phone to your computer. I don't use Apple, right? I use Windows and Android. But let me show you. I'll show you some videos from Project Constitution that he sent me. Hold on, let me see if they're right here somewhere. The drones were definitely in the air. Let me pull this up. Sorry. Gosh. You don't realize how much you text somebody until you like go through to try to find something, and you're just like, wow, bro. You kind of text a lot. All right. Well, whatever. If I can't, am I gonna be able to find it? Hold on one second. I can find it. Because to bring some context, I think it'd be good to pull some of this up here. Boom, 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 boom. Here we go. I got it. I got it, Mom. Let's take this. So yeah, like there's one here. Oh no, did my history go away? My history went away. I got all these drone footages here from Project Constitution. Let's take a look. There's a couple really good ones. There was like some really good ones. Oh, every time I click it, it goes, okay, this is a pretty good one. This one's longer too. So check this out. Yeah, you can see it right here. If I go a little bigger, I'll turn the music. Whoa, I don't want the music because I might get hit. I mean, you can see that there are drones here, right? So my assessment of this could be that drones were being operated to seek the assessment of how the crowd reacted emotionally, what their movements were, of moment of impact, how they were before, what they were acting like after, what the reaction was of each person. And we've seen multiple drones. Frank Turek admitted it. Then Brian Harpole lied about it. Why would you lie about drones if you didn't have anything to hide? Why? If it wasn't used to do the actual assassination, then what were they used for? Because it wasn't just media. Maybe it was. Maybe it was media to assess the risk analysis of what could happen and the critical vulnerability or criticality, whatever this dang thing is that we're reading on this patent. They probably enhanced this patent, the ability to seek with natural language processors or NLPs, large language models, and AI agents to be able to harvest the data coming out of these drones that are AI enhanced to see what do people scream, do they duck, do they not. Imagine the valuable data that you'll extract and harvest from a critical event like this. UVU has a drone department. It's a good point. So yeah, someone said this is beyond crazy, right? I believe it is all. Yes, you're right. It is beyond crazy. But when you start to see all of these things come together and nobody can make sense of why, does this make more sense than anything? To me, it does. To me, and we haven't even gotten to what Make Heaven Crowded tour is all about. They're making people sign documents. He showed me something like that as well. I wonder if I could find it. Let me take a look here real quick. Make Heaven. I don't think I'll be able to. Crowded health documents. Can we find pictures? I don't think I'm going to be able to. TPUSA. He sent me a link, but I don't think I'm going to be. He pulled it up, actually, is what I think. But they're making people sign documents in order to arrive. And then the law of SkyFoundry passing the ability to not only produce 1 million drones, but then have the requirement that allows them to have drones hovering over citizens during citizen events and collecting this data, doing geofencing. They've admitted to it. Doesn't this story start to make more sense? All right. I guess we've got 145 votes. 62% is in the lead. So we'll read them at the end. Sorry for those. If you want me to read it and you happen to catch it at the end, I don't know. I see this. I mean, I don't always see the super chats, and I don't want to say, please read it now, because then everyone will say that probably. I mean, there's not a whole lot of them. So I appreciate all of those that do, but I try to lean with the crowd. And it works out, right? When I'm on a roll too, you don't want to interrupt too much here. So just think about the picture that we're painting, right? The picture that we're painting is the most realistic. We've got Scott Bessent, whatever, connected to George Soros beyond anybody else could possibly be. Not only that, George Soros despises Trump. Why would Trump bring someone in his office working hand in hand together with someone like George Soros as his mentor? It's not this keep your enemies closer situation. That's way too close. Running the Treasury Department, Scott Bessent. I mean, my oh my, man. Confirmed Treasury Secretary by a vote of 68 to 29. So to me, it's like almost deeper. It's like, why would it be 68 to 29? I don't know how the voting structure works, so maybe that's just how it would pan out. But he spent 24, 25, 30 years with George Soros. He joined Soros's fund management in 91. And then in 92, a year later, they shorted the British pound on a Black Wednesday date and made $1 billion. Later, got funded by Soros 2 decades later, $2 billion from Soros's capital, and now he runs the Treasury and controls the IRS. In December of 25, after Charlie Kirk's assassination and social media allegations of TPUSA's financial misconduct, we've shown, and Wolves of Finance showed, Erica Kirk requested clarification. Well, actually, let's give credit to Gary from Paramount Tactical. He showed confirmation that there was a response from Erica Kirk's request of are they being audited, signed by the Treasury Department directly of Scott Bessent, that none of the 4 TPUSA tax-exempt entities, TPUSA Inc., TP Action, Turning Point Endowment, America's Turning Point, none of them were under examination or investigation by the IRS. Within a 24-hour turnaround. Dude, the guy runs the Treasury Department. What kind of power must you have in order to get that type of pull? Most probably would never get a response, even if you were a decamillionaire. You're not going to get that type of response. So either that's a real document. I can't imagine it's a fake document. It's a fake thing. I don't think it's fake. I mean, a senior Treasury office official told CBS News that the allegations were hideous and malicious lies. All of this TPUSA stuff. You know that? This functions as a shield. Oliver North had a president who pardoned his people. TPUSA appears to benefit from a Treasury Secretary who preemptively declares them clean. Preemptively. He said, no, you're good. We've just seen like videos and evidence of people saying like, we're not even going to try to take a look. I think it's fake. Take a vote. That's what you say? Okay. How am I going to phrase this question? Take a poll. Okay. Fake? Like completely fake? You don't think it was signed by him at all? That would be like, if anything, that would put them right in jail. You can't. I want to, like, how can it be fake? I guess do you think the Scott Bessent Treasury IRS document at TPUSA signed is a fake? I guess I'll just put it that way. All right. I just threw it out there. How many people are viewing? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. 448 people watching. How many likes we got? It does help. It really does. Here, let me play this thing down here to remind everybody. See, no. We got 43 votes right off the bat. Another super chat in the house. Thanks for all the super chats so far. Sorry for those that wanted me to read it early. I will get to them, I promise. We're not going to be, we've already been going for an hour 10. Might go another 30, 45 minutes, depending on how it goes. So, again, a preemptive shield that seems to have completely formed around this entire entity through the White House. Okay. This is scary, man. I mean, to what end? Now, somebody asked me the other day, they said, do you really believe all the stuff that you're saying about, do you think that it's really not fair and it should be just like perfectly fair for all of us? And I have to be honest, I had to ponder that question. It's somebody that I really respect and appreciate in my life. And I told this person, I said, you know, I care. I do care. I also do understand. Absolutely, I care. But I also do understand when you do things for people in life, favors come with those things. TPUSA clearly had a hand, and they were very vocal about it, getting Trump elected. Here, let's pull up this video that I saw today. If you haven't seen it, she did a great job. I've seen her before. She's newer to me, but I have seen her before. Let me find the video. It's a little longer, and I'll put the link. Excuse me. I'll put the link down below. Daily Fredo with Cassia. Shout out to her. I think when I saw her, she had like maybe 50,000 followers at the time. Now she's at 81.
Charlie Kirk said it himself.
So big ups. Let me find this video. So how many votes we got? 81 votes.
Charlie Kirk said it himself.
What's going on?
If Trump didn't win the election, Charlie was at risk of going to federal prison. That's why he cried on election day. Those were tears of relief. Those were tears that screamed, yes, I'm not going to jail. But why was he so relieved? Why was he so...
All right, chill out, computer. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not when it's like going off, and I didn't even... I don't know what happened. Okay. 14 hours ago. So here, all right.
Charlie Kirk said it himself.
All right, here we go. We'll do this one.
If Trump didn't win the election, Charlie was at risk of going to federal prison. That's why he cried on election day. Those were tears of relief. Those were tears that screamed, yes, I'm not going to jail. But why was he so relieved? Why was he so sure he would end up in prison if he didn't have Trump in the office, protecting him, allegedly? Today's topic is something that has been bothering me ever since I first mentioned it on one of my recent videos when I break down the Wolf and Finance episode for you guys. And at the end of my video, I mentioned this clip.
Do you know why I cried on election night?
Because you thought it was a restoration of the Judeo-Christian values that are inherent to the Constitution.
Let me tell you why, because I think you might appreciate this.
Like, no, that's not why, bro. Listen to what he's saying. He's like trying to get all...
At the end of my video,
partly
this clip.
Do you know why I cried on election night?
Because you thought it was a restoration of the Judeo-Christian values that are inherent to the Constitution.
Let me tell you
why.
The
guy's going after the Judeo-Christian values. When was this video? I wish I knew when it was.
Because I think you might appreciate this as a historian. Joe Biden sent the entire federal government after Turning Point USA and me personally. They wanted me in federal prison.
Right.
We don't want that. And by the way, that's what despots do, not Donald Trump. Let me finish. And so when Donald Trump won, it was a sigh of relief that maybe I won't have to go to federal prison. Maybe I can actually be around my kids. And maybe we can live in a free society.
I kind of brushed past this video and this topic in general, but I decided to see if there was something more to it. And yes, there was. Boy, there was more to it. Let's watch that clip of Charlie after he found out Trump won the election.
Probably.
Guys, they just called it. They just called it for Pennsylvania, Charlie. It has
Fox
been called.
just called.
Just reporting it. Let's go, baby.
Charlie, what is the number?
White House.
What is the number?
Is that it? Happened. Remember where you were when you realized that the Uniparty and all of these, just the establishment.
Just like everyone started dancing.
Just in case we won Pennsylvania. I said I wouldn't even talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got tasty cakes.
He is tearing up. He's genuinely relieved. Erica comes in to hug him. He's crying. She's crying.
So
we all thought
the thing is
that this was.
The thing is that the Democrats and the Biden administration had gone after tons of Republicans while they were in office, and we experienced that wrath from them. All right, and I say we because I tend to lean conservative. All right, I do. But again, I just happen to have a lot of friends that are Republicans or liberals, and so seeing that, I was like, I thought for sure the White House, whenever the Republicans gained office next, which happened to be Trump, was going to lay the hammer. I mean, lay the hammer, and nobody's been arrested. I saw a post on X stating all of these people that were brought to court or arrested, like political officials and Trump, and how many different cases, and nobody has been arrested in our office today in the Trump administration. But the Democrats were just going like guns blazing at everybody. Now, why was Charlie Kirk worried about being arrested? Well, probably because of a lot of the things that we've addressed in my videos. There's probably other things as well that maybe I don't know about. When you go to arrest somebody like Charlie Kirk, you have to have an airtight case, probably something like some RICO charge of some sort. That's what I imagine it to be. Maybe not. I don't know. But with all of the money going into Stacey Sheridan's companies while she's working for them, to me, that's a huge red flag. Jake Hoffman, working with all of these different people, also under indictment now. That's kind of, I think, also what led to his indictment was that investigation. So that was like tailwind with Tyler Boyer as well. So, yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of things here that start to add up like, okay, well, the thing is this, guys and gals, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, I don't know what's going to happen when I say when because there's only two parties, right? At least for now, that are taking office. I don't see any other party running a race that would win. So we have to see the facts that when and if next the Democrats get into office, what's going to happen? Is Trump trying to curb some of that? No, they're savages, right? And I mean, just from what I've seen, but also now we're seeing like in Florida, the lady getting like criticizing their governor or something, or their Miami, Florida lady, social media police. Have you guys seen this as well? 2 weeks ago. Here, check this out if you haven't seen it. $125 votes, 67% say no, it's not fake.
Then, a Miami Beach woman says she is outraged after police showed up at her door. They had questions for former political candidate Raquel Pacheco. They were asking about a Facebook post that she made criticizing Miami Beach's mayor. CBS News Miami's Abby Dodge is your reporter in Miami Beach tonight.
It's kind of crazy because I lived in Miami for 5 years. It's crazy to think like a place like Miami, which is so like off the chains, man. If you haven't been to Miami, you got to go to Miami. That place is off the hook. I loved it. I worked there in the food and beverage industry for almost 5 years. I worked at, if you know Miami, I worked at Joe's Stone Crab. I worked at the Matador Room in it was a Marriott, it's called the Edition Hotel. I opened the renovations of the Marriott, of the Shelbourne Hotel in Miami Beach. It was like a party hotel, and then we renovated it with this company. Put $2.5 million into that. Maybe it was more. I heard it was like way more, but I think it was like 250 million, and turned it into Iron Chef Morimoto restaurateur ran hotel, where all the food and beverage was like Nobu level higher. To be honest, higher than Nobu level, better. Iron Chef Morimoto is off the hook. That food is that's where I got my sommelier certification. So I'm a sommelier and a sake sommelier. I'm a cicerone, which is a beer professional as well. But the fact that this is happening there, it just breaks my heart, man. I love Miami. I lived in Little Havana.
Abby, what was in this post that prompted officers to show up and knock on her door like that?
And how ridiculous this is.
Well, Raquel Pacheco wrote a critical comment about the mayor after he posted a photo saying that the city was welcoming to everyone. She didn't expect then that her comment would lead to a police investigation.
Am I being charged with the crime? Okay, so you're here to investigate a statement that I allegedly made on Facebook.
Raquel Pacheco, a former candidate for Miami Beach City Commission and Florida Senate, started recording when officers showed up at her door Monday. She says she's still emotionally distraught about what happened next.
My overwhelming feeling was that freedom of speech as I know it died at my front step yesterday. And that was just such an incredibly sad, it still makes me sad. It's an incredibly, incredibly sad thing.
And it wasn't even that crazy.
I refuse to answer questions without my lawyer present.
Officers then read Pacheco's Facebook comment. She says in part, the guy who consistently calls for the death of Palestinians tried to shut down a theater for showing a movie that hurt his feelings and refuses to stand up for the LGBTQ community in any way. Officers then explained why they came to her door.
We're just trying to prevent somebody else getting agitated or agreeing with the statement. We're not saying it's true or not.
Anyone who reads that statement, I don't know how you can take that as an incitement to violence of any type.
I called the mayor's communications staff multiple times and stopped by City Hall. The mayor's
like that has no, like, who cares if somebody took this and decided to just like eliminate people over something so stupid? That is not her responsibility. Okay, she didn't say anything that I can see here that's violent. She didn't say anything that I see here as radical. She expressed her opinion. She put a couple of clown emojis and said the mayor is shutting. They turned off a movie that was supposed to be playing, I guess, in Miami. And she said, hey, this is BS, essentially, and wants you to know that you're all well. So it says the guy who consistently calls for the death of all Palestinians tried to shut down a theater for showing a movie that hurts his feelings and refuses to stand up for the LGBTQ community in any way, even leaves the room when the vote on related matters. Wants you to know that you are all welcome here. So that's what
the LGBTQ community in any way.
The police
officers
showed up
then
for
explained
that.
Why they came to her door.
Seriously, bro?
Times and stopped.
That's just crazy.
The officers at her door.
We're traveling down a very
I don't see any like Republican Trump administration. Like, isn't Marco Rubio in charge of the state? I'm pretty sure he is, right? So where is the, hey, this is crap. Like, you guys shouldn't be doing this. Where is that? They're not speaking up for us. Do you see what's going on here? They don't care, man. They do not care. And it pisses me off. It just pisses me off. See something like this piss me off. Ridiculous. Now, think about all of the things that I've said. And yes, EMS stream. You're right. There's real crime happening. Lucky there was no real crime happening in the state when they went to speak to her. I like it being facetious. Dude, this is Miami. You know, right at that moment, there's probably like 10 crimes happening. And also another 2,500 drug deals. This is Miami, man. Trust me when I say there's crime happening every second. Every second. Every second they spent at this lady's doorstep, there was a crime happening. I promise. So now going back to TPUSA. and when somebody asks me, do I think it's fair? Do I really care? Yes, I care. But I also understand that when you do something great for somebody and they happen to be in a very powerful, prominent position, favors will be drawn. But dude, these are donor money being used, and now what it's looking like and is implicating is a data harvesting center on a tour around the country as Make Heaven Crowded under the guise of religion. And Erica Kirk is the speaker. Why? Why is she on tour? Data harvesting. Let's see. Has anybody made a video? Maybe I should make one. Nobody's made a video. You know who I need to get on is watch Stu Peters. Let's see if he said anything. Stu Peters, Make Heaven Crowded. He might have done something. No? Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, yeah. When you think about the implementation of data harvesting, what they admitted to the 277,000 people showing up to Charlie Kirk's memorial, that's Superfeed. I'm going to tell you that's Superfeed. They haven't said it, but I know it. That's the company they're using to run their technology. Now, step back with me because I need you to see the pattern. Every covert operation in American history follows the same 4-part architecture. Every single one has. Go find one and look at it. It doesn't matter if it's in 1950, 1960, 86, 54, 2025. The playbook has never changed. That's why my thumbnails have been saying TPUSA playbook. You know, step 1 is a legitimate cover. So you had in the story earlier, Air America looked like a humanitarian airline. You had a United Fruit look like a banana company. The Enterprise looked like a patriotic fundraising operation. The Nugan Hand Bank looked like a legitimate merchant. Turning Point USA looks like a religious nonprofit. I mean, you got to have a cover. Step 2, then you have a financial pipeline. Air America was funded by the CIA through shell companies. United Fruit was funded by monopoly profits from captive markets. The Enterprise was funded by private donations and illegal arms profiting laundered through Swiss bank accounts. Nugan Hand was funded by drug money. Tax evasion schemes and intelligence slush funds. TPUSA is funded by tax-exempt donations. Nearly $400 million in annual revenue flowing through entities where Form 990 filings show over $20 million in alleged payments to insider-controlled companies. Expired auditor licenses. You don't have a CPA running the financial department as a CFO at TPUSA. A life insurance entity called GGLF 2023 LLC that was dissolved in July 9th, 2025, and then mysteriously reinstated 9 days before the 8 days before, or 6 or 8 days before the 90-day life insurance requirement to claim the policy runs up. Then you have the military. Step 3 is the military or intelligence capabilities. Air America had transport planes and helicopters. United Fruit had mercenary armies and CIA piloted bombers. The Enterprise had its own intelligence conduits across 6 countries. So what this investigation has uncovered is including Eric Schmidt's Project Eagle autonomous AI drones, Jake Hoffman's and Tyler Boyer and Lori Franzvi, and you've got Superfeed behavioral database, vulnerability assessment patents that have probably evolved into large language model algorithmic patents now that we don't know about, and a data collection operation framed as religious tours with the ability to operate on land owned by people like the Farnsworth, in my opinion, under the 50 CFR 22 Eagle permits. This is a religious tour that appears to be building behavioral profiles on every young American who walks through their doors. And not only that, They are going into every school in America, in the United States. That was one of Charlie's last wishes. So a part of me is like, well, I can see why Charlie wanted to have his vision inside of every country or in every school. But a lot like Barron's story earlier tonight, and I know I mentioned a lot about him because he brings up good topics. It's great to talk about some of the things he says afterwards. I love it. The lady that was running Theranos, she wanted the power, she wanted the money, or maybe she just wanted to do good. She wanted to provide something of value to the world. And she surrounded herself with politically strong, military strong, government strengthened board of directors. They probably told her, from what it sounds like, this is a great perspective from Barron, telling her, hey, everything's on the up and up. Maybe they gave her documents that looked like everything was on the up and up for her. Or maybe they said, oh, we're actually passing this bar needed to be able to distribute our appliances, or our testing manufacturer is, we're doing good things and everything's good. You're good. We're going to raise $9 billion, all this money. And she probably probably she was in prison for what, 11 years. I don't know if she's in or out now, but imagine how you could take somebody, if you wanted something bad enough and you had a mission in life and you surrounded yourself with people that could take advantage of that. It gets dark quick. But that's kind of what I think we're looking at here. And then you have political protection. In Guatemala, the CIA director sat on the company's board, and Iran and Contra, the president pardoned everyone. In Nugan Hand, the CIA refused to cooperate with every Australian investigation for 3 years. And in 2025, Scott Bessent from the Treasury Department issues what functions as a preemptive letter of clearance that the FBI's Arctic Frost investigation is shut down, and a senior Treasury official calls documented financial concerns hideous and malicious lies, signing on the dotted line by Scott Bessent, we are not investigating any of your entities, although there's evidence, in our opinion, that, in my opinion, and that in many other people's opinions, and all the people that have shown my videos across this entire world, even though my channel is still small, my message has gotten loud. Zach's messages from Wolves of Finance has gotten louder. I don't see many other people diving all the way into the Form 990s. Sabby Sabs doing great work. I see her out there. Ian Barron, of course, he's been starting to get into the financials. I think he's going to start talking about Stacey Sheridan soon. I mean, how can us, unless we're just that low IQ where we just can't read public documents that our companies file all the time, are we that stupid? We just don't know. We're just so cover, pipeline, capability, protection. Air America had all four. United Fruit had all four. These are just the ones that I've mentioned. Oliver North's Enterprise had all four. The Nugan Hand Bank had all four. How about that? I think I want to use it for the the EP files. The Nipstein files. The Nipstein files. What does that look like to you? Another cover up, and all levels. So when you start to see the bigger picture, is this that hard to believe? No, of course not. It's obvious, actually. To me now, when you look back in the history of all of the shady crap that's happened in this country and around the world from officials that have self-interest, protection, and everything else that they want in order to make their lives exactly how they want it for everybody else, and inflicting whatever they want on us, they are the ones making the decisions. They are the ones that have the financial benefit. They are the ones that get the technological stack that makes them rich, powerful, and in full control to be able to assess every single student from grade 9 all the way up to college and beyond with facial recognition software, emotional intelligence algorithms written from when you were 12, 13, 14 years old? What about the schools that are high schools that have K through 12? Because there's tons of them. So are they going to just start putting turning point chapters inside of K through 12? Imagine a 5-year-old kid with a turning point chapter that has this data collection pipeline driven right into that school. So you can watch a kid from the age of potentially 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, the first time they smoked pot, the first time they had, done something mischievous in the bathroom, or they skipped class. Where did they go? What did they do? What was their first lie to a teacher like? Did they steal something off the teacher's desk and get caught? All of this data will be compiled. You can guarantee that. Remember my voice in 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. You'll remember this video today, this live stream. Because it's going to happen, and we'll be foolish not to believe that. Foolish. So maybe Candace was right. Maybe it's time to get our kids out of school. And it's crazy because I've got a daughter. She's at that age. She's in school already. What does that mean for the rest of the country and the rest of the kids growing up? And how does that change the way when you homeschool kids? I think about when I grew up. It was messed up. I had a kind of a messed up upbringing, but I was in public schools, but I got to have that social interaction, and it wasn't weird. I didn't have any weird stuff happening, and all of this technology that we have today. We barely had. Remember those Apple? If you're my age or older, which a lot of you are, I know my analytics shows we've got people watching. Bulk group of people are 45 to 65 that watch my channel. So you've seen this technological breakthrough from when those IBM computers and when it was just MS-DOS, and then the first computers that were in school with the Apples with the rounded back that had the pink and the blue. Remember those? Those were the computers we grew up with. They took forever to load up. They had I don't even remember what we had on there. The first computer I had was a MS-DOS only. It didn't even go online or anything. It was my uncle gave it to me. I was 6 when I had my first computer, and it had 2 things on it. It had a game, and it had a typing tester. Maggie Maya he said, "You're so young." Am I so young? I look young. I have what they call the baby face, but look at my hair. I'm white-headed. George Clooney hair. But I mean, I learned how to type when I was 6. I learned how to work on coding and stuff. I never learned how to code. I'd messed around with coding device applications and stuff throughout the years, but I never learned until the last 5 years. And I actually got much more proficient when AI came along. The first day ChatGPT came out, the very first thing I did was learn how to build a calculator. And then I learned how to build a trivia game. The hello world, if you know coding at all, the first thing you do is hello world. So AI wasn't like it is today, 3 years ago. It wasn't coding like it is. There was no such thing as vibe coding. You couldn't code out programs and stuff with AI. So I had to learn the hard way, even though I didn't go to school for it. I'm self-taught. I know what all the definitions are and how to do all of the things manually. But AI makes things so much more proficient. I can code a program, a website, a whole company that would take 4 engineers 2 years to make. I could do it in 2 days. Think about how powerful that technology is today. And why wouldn't it be so easy for them to build an intelligence apparatus, test it on agricultural land under EGLE permits, so no FAA oversight, do whatever they want, test the criticality vulnerability factors, and then deploy them? It doesn't seem too far-fetched for me. And I'm sure it doesn't for you. Now that we've gone through this, the world's changing. We're watching it unfold right before our eyes. And 6 weeks ago, before I started looking into these documents, you know, this puzzle had, and it still has, 1 million pieces, maybe even 1 billion. And almost all of them seem to be missing. But the last few days, the last 6 weeks, the last 8 weeks, since Christmas, really, for me, Christmas Day, it seems that I've been putting together the pieces with the help of many other people, like Zach's from Wolves of Finance, like Jesse on Fire, like Coach Colin, like Baron, like Ian, like Project Constitution, huge help. Big proponent of what I do, and I'm a huge fan of his. And I'm privileged to be working alongside him in something so important. Because this is, in my opinion, exactly what is happening. They're using Make Heaven Crowded as the tour to deploy a vast data harvesting system around the country through people that show up. They're taking the data, geofencing these people and following them home, and they're gauging everything they do online. This is called digital signature. And it's not okay. Yeah, sure. All the applications that we use, do they track beyond a certain thing? Yes. But when you go to an event to praise the Lord, you shouldn't have to worry about being tracked home and then identified on every single thing you do thereafter. This is beyond reproach. And for the first time in this investigation, I feel like I've seen the whole picture. Every document, every filing, every receipt that I've shown and I've read myself, many that I haven't even had the time to show. I've built code and HTML scripts to show graphs and charts of money flow. Because you deserve to see what I see. And hopefully after tonight, you have a better understanding of what I think is happening and what the most reasonable, logical thing after seeing everything put together really is. And like me, you'll probably never look at this investigation the same. And I would be shocked if this narrative that we have started to pry doesn't explode wide open. I've seen people sending emails around. People have sent me screenshots like, hey, I sent this. I just hope that other people can help, because I can't do this. We can't. I mean, maybe, but it's going to be really hard, just Project Constitution and I, to do this alone. It's not easy. There's a lot of moving parts. Now, I did say I have a critical document for Lori Fronsky, but I need to make certain of everything that's in it. It's a document that it's a very important document. Okay. I haven't shared it with anyone yet because I want to go through it and make sure, you know, the source I got it from is a source that I seem to trust. I've met and I've talked to for countless hours on video chat. I know this person that gave me the document. It's not just one document. It's like a whole page, like pages of documents that are legit. But I need to make sense of it before I bring it out. So with that being said, I think we're going to wrap it up with super chats here. That's a lot, man. It's a lot. It takes a lot out of me. Yeah, no, I'm not single. Thank you. I love the hike you up. I am married with a child. All right, we got Mary. Oh, man. Thank you for the new membership and welcome. It's 99 cents. So if you want to join the Dankster Intelligence Apparatus, it's just 99 cents to get all the live streams. They'll go on private. For the most part, they will be going on private. It just depends. Like when it comes to these one, maybe this one might not be. It just depends on what I'm unfolding. Like the one yesterday, the 4-hour one is so important. I'm probably not going to make that private because I need anybody and everybody to see it, and probably this one too. But when it's diving into allegations that are severe, like showing documents and paperwork, like this is like, you guys are committing fraud, in my opinion. I have to put those in private on members only. So if you want to see all of those, which I've got plenty of videos, live streams, the videos I don't make private, members only, but the live streams I do, because we go through, and I'll go through some more financial stuff as well. But it's nice to branch out into a bigger picture, because it feels like all of this was now for that, right? To get us to this point, to start getting more of a bigger scope on things. So welcome, Marianne. 5 memberships. So PJ, if you're still here, I know you did that early on, 3:28 p.m. I started this live stream setup way early. So please join for 99 cents. There's also other tiers. Let's say thanks to PJ if you did get one for free from him or her. I think it's a him. And then there's other tiers if you want to support. You know, I'll try to do, once I get more an idea of how many members we've got and who's in what tier, but we've got over 200 members now, and it's just been a month or two, and I'm so privileged. Thank you for putting your faith in me to bring the information. Monica, welcome. My name is Mommy. Whoa. Thank you, Mommy. My name is Mommy again. You are my new favorite content creator because you make things that are really complicated, easy to understand. God bless. Thank you for that. Thank you for the super chat. Mommy. Mary Humphrey, thank you for the $2. Keats. Hey, Keats sliding through tonight again. Here from my drive home from work. Australia. Go Max. Thanks, boss. Good to see you, Keats. I see you all over. Thanks for the super chat. Mary Humphrey 900 with another super $4.99. Love your research and deep dive efforts. Go Max. Thank you. I will continue to do that. I appreciate you. Super sticker, Vess MK. Hopefully you haven't been MK'd, Vess. Thank you for the $10 super sticker. I appreciate that. PJ here. Oh, he's still around. 9:17 p.m. Less than 30 minutes. Oh, 31 minutes ago. Thanks. Should we ask our congressman if they supported this S2506 that you sent out yesterday? Would our negativity help? I don't think so. Let's take a look. Let's just ask our little AI guy. Can we? Let's do this. I'll share my screen. Can we? Here, I'll make it a little bigger. If we wanted to ask, here, can I copy it? I'll just type what you said. Our congressmen, if they supported the S2506 was filed for damn it, what is it called? SkyFoundry Act that was passed. Would there be any possibility of changes? I'm curious to know if they could change the ruling similar to how the government could change laws implemented by the president if a new president takes office. Let's see what we said. That's a good question. I'm curious. I don't know. I don't know what can be done. I seen somebody in the chat harping on me on the vape. I'm a super addict when it comes to everything I do. I'm very lucky. This is the only thing I'm addicted to these days. If you know my story, you know I come from a very dark, addictive background. Homeless, drugs. Thanks. Important clarification first. Has not been actually passed. The thing is that this is incorrect. See what I'm saying? It's like everything tells me something different, you know? It's like, I can't get a straight answer on this thing. That is so crazy, dude. It's been passed. That is so nuts. It bothers me so much that I get mixed information. But we've seen the bill, like here, SkyFoundry Act. Here, let me see. Congress. Here it is, right here. It was passed in 119th Congress in the first session. And the document is the text here. It's sponsored by Senator Ted Cruz. I put out a post on X, and I put a poll out on YouTube that we should Should I go into Ted Cruz? Because I see him everywhere, man. Dude's bought out. Dude's bought out like a, I don't even want to say it. There's a place in Tijuana called Hong Kong, if you know it. All right. So this is the bill. Require the Secretary of Defense to establish and carry out a program to enable the rapid development, testing, and scalable manufacture. There's a video that I have here. It does, I think it was passed. Like, see, that's what's so crazy is I can't get a straight answer. But it was passed, believe me. Senators establish drone production. Here, let's play this.
I do now want to make a total left turn here and talk about some legislation that you introduced that has to do with upping drone production in this country.
Let's answer your question first. Legislation like the NDA or standalone SkyFoundry Act is a completely different animal. Once a bill passes both chambers of Congress and gets signed into law, a new president cannot unilaterally undo it. Changing an enacted law requires one of these pass new legislation. We've seen that before. Future modifications embedded in the NDAA, a future NDAA could modify, scale back, or redirect the program if it gets reauthorized annually. So every year there's a window to adjust. Defunding through appropriations. If a program is authorized by law, Congress controls the money. They could simply not fund it through appropriation bills, saying you can't do this. Could your congressman change it? Yes, but not alone. Here's how it works. Practically, your congressman, you're in CA 25, Riverside County area. That's where I'm at. California, if you don't know where Riverside is, can introduce an amendment to the law, propose changes during NDAA markup in the Armed Services Committee. What's crazy is this law was passed in the Armed Services Committee. Dude, Armed Services, military, drones, AI, Lori Fransvey, data harvesting, religion, property that's on FCC waivered for the FAA oversight to not be disclosed. Co-sponsor modifications, but any single member of Congress is one vote. So you would have to lobby for this. The realistic levers your congressman has: proposing amendments, influencing appropriations, adding reported requirements, directing the program, redirecting it. What they cannot do alone is repeal or fundamentally alter, override the version, or block funding. So it doesn't sound easy.
It's called the SkyFoundry Act. Talk to us about it.
Well, look, we've got a couple problems when it comes to our national defense. And number one, we only make about 50,000 drones a year when our adversaries are going to make north of 25
was 2 months ago.
million drones this year at a far lesser cost, by the way, than it cost us to produce those 50,000, which is just nonsensical. We're learning incredible lessons from the battlefield in Ukraine, what Israel is having happen in their own backyard. And we're seeing what's happening down in South America and Mexico with cartels and narco-terrorists. And we've got to be very, very intentional about building a domestic production capacity for small drones. And we have to decouple that production, that supply chain from China completely. If we do those two things, we put America on a path to actually having a very, very strong and robust defense when it comes to this new category of drones. And SkyFoundry seeks to do just that by producing the first 1 million drones at a rate of 1 million a year in this country. We're going to do that through a unique set of public-private partnerships, do business in ways that has never actually been done before between the government and the private sector. And I think both sides are really going to benefit from it. The American taxpayer is absolutely going to benefit from it because we're going to be able to drive costs through the floor and drive flexibility through the roof. That's the name of the game in drones, where the technology is changing so quickly. I'm really, really excited about this program, if you can't tell.
Yeah, you're going to get paid fat bucks off that, aren't you, big dog? Maybe I can do a little technology development for that ass right there. So that being said, it doesn't sound easy. Thanks for the super chat, PJ, and thanks for the memberships, boss. Hope you're doing well out there. Keats, again, it's happening in Australia. They want to take away our free speech, but they won't make it illegal to burn our flag. Interesting. Yeah, you know, the burning of the flag thing is, I mean, if that flag, somebody once said it, I don't know who it was. It's probably Barron again. They're like, the flag is something you should hug and hold and love and care. Like, that's your country, you should love it. But at the same time, the stuff we're seeing in Australia, UK, various other countries with rights being taken away, it's terrible to see. I don't know how I'd feel about our flag if things progressively gets worse. But of course, they don't want to have you burn their flag, because that right there is like a bold statement, right? They can take away your speech and keep you from saying things, but then they don't want people to know how you feel about it, essentially. Thanks, Keats. Good to see you. Lola, hanging with my chihuahua. Welcome to the Dankster Intelligence Apparatus. Thanks for joining. Pete, what's up, Pete? Good to see you, big dog. Thanks from Australia, $7.99, $80. Make a holla. Lori Marie, 112, $9.99 super sticker. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. Good to see you. M. Malloy, OG in the game. I see you everywhere. $5. I really think they thought we would all just give up and disappear. And they also know they're protected. Well said. Yeah. It's crazy, man. You wouldn't think that they really miscalculated. They really miscalculated. Killing Charlie was the biggest misstep. Whoever did it, they really effed up, man. It just it opens our eyes. And then you've got the Nipstein files. Man, you can see the control happening in real time. It's kind of scary, isn't it? Good to see you, Emma Lloyd. Thanks for the super. Another one. We're effed. Go Max. I guess that's all we got left, huh? We just go Max. I mean, what else are we going to do? Oh, I hate to say that. I don't want to say we're effed. Wouldn't that be great if we had somebody to run to take care of all of this and change it? But the thing is, you saw what happened. Bongino and them, Kash Patel going into office, thinking they can change stuff. What'd they do? Tucked their tail between their legs and said, yes, daddy, spank me harder. It's just crazy, bro. It's crazy, man. Thanks for the super chat again. Thank you. Good to see you. Tiny Seer, new member. Welcome. Emma Loy again. If they, $5, if they would have never effed up the original narrative, people wouldn't be looking so hard at this. It's crazy. Yeah, isn't that nuts? How many times have they changed the official narrative? If you go back on my channel, you'll see I show you I built a facial recognition AI software that rivals what the FBI would make. It's pretty damn good, to be honest. Not to toot my own horn or anything. When it comes to AI development and stuff, I've really gotten good at it. Feels good. Feels good to have something else to fall back into. But they messed up, man. They messed up from the firearm being on the rooftop, being brought up in a skinny jeans with, don't forget about what's the dude's name that's running for governor or whatever in Utah? Phil Lyman. That whole thing with dude walking right in front of his aunt's front door, then leaking that to the TMZ. Not to mention screwing and unscrewing of the gun. The shot goes off. The guy gets up and runs out. That is not the story. So whoever still believes that hasn't, at least, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, at the very least, has not watched any content that anybody has put out in relation to this conversation on YouTube or on Rumble or on X. They are watching Fox, CNN, and that's it. That's the only way. They don't have a phone. The only way is if you don't have a phone, you don't have internet, and you only watch the news. That's it. That is it. And what's crazy is, my parents, they didn't know all of this stuff. And then I showed them Candace, and then I showed them Jesse on Fire, and then I showed them some of my stuff. And it's so funny. They were binge watching Candace and Jesse, flipping back and forth, trying to see what's going on. It's just they had no idea. And this was 2 weeks ago. So even though they have phones and they watch social media, most people, they watch The Real Housewives or they watch Dancing with the Stars. I don't remember the last time I watched anything that was just entertainment. I really don't. Actually, I do. It was the day before yesterday, I started watching this story about Moses. It's a Netflix series. It's a show / docuseries. The story of Moses is amazing. I didn't know much about Moses, but his story is quite incredible, from how he was born and then floating down the Nile, and it's incredible. And the fact that we're seeing, hopefully, more and more people wake up to what probably is, at the very least, them noticing that this isn't the narrative. That's important. Thanks again, Emma Loy. Welcome, Patience Pays. You're right. Patience does pay. Patience helped me a lot when it came to poker. If you can learn how to play poker properly with the game theory optimal position and know how to use exploitative, like how to exploit your players when the time is right, it's like, and be patient, you're undefeated, man. I'm undefeated, man. Go to any poker room in Southern California. That's a casino, at least. I don't play in card rooms too often. They know who I am. Thank you. Welcome, Genevieve Wiley. That's a tough one. Welcome, Yaku the Beesh. Welcome, Yaku the Beesh. Anne Marie Tipton. This is rough, man. Great information, Danks. Please check your email of something I think I found. Will do. Thank you, Anne Marie, for the $4.99. Appreciate you. Ivan is Ivan. Do I have a come on, I gotta have something here. Let me see. I gotta have like brother, tighten the firewall, backup data to encrypted NOS, head on a swivel, you're over the target. You already know, bro. I had blocked 4 bot attacks on my network in the last 2 days. It's not that many. My websites get like thousands a day. So for 4 they tried to pry one of my devices, but all they were looking for was inefficiencies in my network, which I have none. So thanks for the super chat, bro. Good to see you. Don't forget, I made you a mod over here. So I think you're doing good work. If you are, if anything, if you haven't been, we haven't had any attack. I mean, I try to pay attention to the chat, but I don't have a chance sometimes when I'm going hard. But thanks for the super chat, bro. It's always good to see you, man. I saw you over there at Barron's showing some love, and I appreciate you being over here as well. Good to see you, dog. And the last one so far, $9.99 from Melinda Hyatt, 7,800. I love watching your show because of how you break everything down. Also because you look so much like my son. Thanks for your hard work. Go Max. Well, that's so kind to hear. I appreciate it. Yeah, I hear a lot of good feedback saying that I break things down very well and I make it easy to understand. And that's the goal. That's really the mission here, is to make sure that people understand exactly what I'm trying to convey, because it is very complicated. The subjects are very deep. They can get convoluted and messy. And the best way is to just show back with receipts, truth over drama. You know, like if you saw me today on Mr. Lego, it's like, I can't validate any of this stuff, man. Like I have no input, you know, but believe me, like I am a conspiracy theorist. I love a good conspiracy. But at the same time, when it comes to my material and the content that I'm putting out, I want to be able to back it up with receipts and at least have some credibility. I don't want anybody out there saying this dude is just making us like mess up, talking out of the side of his cheeks. I don't want that. I don't want to look at that. You know, I still get it. I still see those comments, but I know it's not true, right? There's a difference between doing it and knowing it's true and not ever doing it and knowing it's not true. So I appreciate it. Your son is a handsome man. Thank you so much. Oh, we got a 10 Danks memberships from Ivan. Dude, showing up, bro. Thank you for that. Say thank you to Ivan if you got one. And go back and check out we've got a lot of new members. So go back and check out the past live streams. We've done some incredible work. I've done a lot with Project Constitution by myself. Some where I ranted for an hour looking at random stuff. Had somebody on, Crystal. She was great. Concerned about the stuff happening in Minnesota. We've talked about that. We've broken down financials and drawn graphs up, and we'll do some more of that stuff. I just wanted to kind of break down the newest findings so that we can make this story shorter. Yeah, just so I can make the story shorter and more understandable for those that didn't want to sit through a 4-hour live stream. Although you had to sit through a 2-hour one, or at least an hour and a half to get the bulk of the information. But still, that's what I'm here for. I appreciate everybody. Thanks for showing up and showing out for your boy. If you have any tips, send me an email. I try to get to my email all throughout the day. And yeah, follow me on X, same ticker, or I call it a ticker, same handle, Dankster Intel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit those notifications so you don't miss any videos, lives, shorts, or any material from your boy Danks. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe. Keep your head on a swivel, and I'll see you. Peace.